Mmm.
Tuning in to the Educator Chipotle Challenge Educator Shout Out Interviews. Channel ECC. It's Kayla Ebby with the Educator Chipotle Challenge ECC on day 315. 315, folks. 315. 50 days left. It is July 9th, 2019. And today, I am so excited to record 2 Educator Shout Out interviews with my good friends. We go way back. Matt and Renee. I'm at Chipotle. It's raining outside. But I'm about to go in and grab some Chipotle for the 3 of us and the little one for dinner tonight.
You're such a weirdo.
Me?
Yeah.
Takes one to know one, right, May? Mm-hmm. Shoot. Hey y'all, it's Kayla Ebby, the creator of the Educator Chipotle Challenge, and today is day 315, and I'm doing an Educator Shout Out interview with not 1, but 2 of my old besties from junior high and high school. I've known this one since 7th grade, and this one since definitely junior high, but we became pretty close in high school. So let's meet who they are.
Hi, I'm Renee Cartoni, and I grew up in Stillwater, and Kayla and I met back in choir, and currently live in North St. Paul. And I went to University of Wisconsin, River Falls, and currently work at Anderson Corporation as a supply chain analyst.
And who are you?
I am Matt. I also grew up in Stillwater. Kayla and I were actually just having a debate about when we met. We didn't really become close friends until probably at least 10th grade.
Yeah.
We both graduated from Stillwater High School, and then just like Kayla, I graduated from Hamlin University, but a year later. I currently also work at Anderson Windows in Stillwater, Minnesota as a supply chain analyst.
And we're married.
Yep, I was just thinking that. I'm glad that you said it.
So we're like this trifecta of best friends, and we're married, and we're all friends.
We're not all 3 married. It's 2.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they probably caught on to that, but
Well, I kind of was trying to point over you, but
right. Yeah, I'll watch back and I'll realize that, and then, but I'll still keep this clip in there probably.
Or, you can just cut it, whatever.
I love you, Kayla.
Love you too. So, Nate, I'll start with you.
Okay.
Name and describe 1 or more educators who have positively impacted your life and how they've made a difference.
So for me, the biggest influence were the professors that I had at UWRF. So I had gone to 2 colleges previously and wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and quite honestly just didn't really have a lot of direction in life in general. I didn't take college very seriously for my first couple years and wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, and I thought I'll just get an associate's degree, I'll be done, not going to be going to school anymore. Thanks to my parents, they encouraged me to go back to school, to start with 1 class, just try 1 class. Well, I went full force and went back full time, and I had to take an economics class as part of my undergrad generals, and I had a professor named Dr. John Walker, who it was Econ 101, or actually Econ 100, but essentially the very basics of economics. And I had previously basically failed a macroeconomics course at UMD and felt miserable about myself, and here I was trying to take econ again, and he kind of lit that spark for me that not only gave me passion for school, but passion for that course, and I ended up changing my major to economics after I think only a couple weeks into the semester, and I had previously wanted to go for social work, so I just did a 180 and ended up just really feeling like I found direction in myself and passion and life, and just he was also my advisor, and he was a mentor, and I saw him as a very strong person in my life through the rest of my time at college. And I also had a couple other really, really awesome professors there. Dr. Hossein Eftekari, Dr. Brian Schultz, and Dr. Pascal Ngoboka. And they were all in the College of Business and Economics, and all of them were just the most patient, kind, caring humans, and they were just really made me feel good about what I was going to school for, and made me feel supported. And I really loved school. I ask Matt if I can go back every day. I'd probably have 10 PhDs and masters and everything if I could, but that's when I really found out who I was and what it meant to be me, and learned that I'm an analytical person, and learned what my interests were. And it was thanks to those men at that school. They were just very strong influences for me, and really, really great college and good experience for me there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, and shout out to all 4 of you. All right, Matt, same question. Name and describe one or more educators who have had a positive impact in your life and how they've made a difference.
I would say there's one more specifically. Like I'm sure that if I sat down and I really compiled a list, I could probably come up with a whole handful. But the teacher I would say that had the most profound impact was 11th and 12th grade English teacher in high school, Lori Stippel. I would say that she definitely gave me my first real lesson in personal accountability in a way that I would say had a very profound impact. Like, we showed up to class one day and there was probably like 10 of us in the class that didn't have our homework done. And like...
Was I one of them? I don't think so.
I don't think so. And so it was like everybody that had their stuff done, like, you know, they went out in the hallway and like participated in this activity that she had set up that we were all supposed to participate in if we could have done our damn homework. And then it was like she came back in and she just lectured us and basically drove the point home, like, the world doesn't care if you're not prepared, it'll just pass you by. Like, get your life together. And it was something that it didn't have such a fine point on it the way I just stated it, but that was what I took from it, and it stuck. That's for sure.
Good old Mrs. Stippel.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Renee, from your perspective as a student, what is necessary to have at school that supports students' mental, social, emotional health and well-being?
For me, I guess it kind of ranged from, we'll say, elementary, then junior high, then high school, then college. I kind of needed different things at every stage. So something that was huge for me in elementary school was an in-school counselor. My parents went through a divorce, and we had someone on site who was there to help kids handle that, and that was huge for me. And I loved going to I think it was weekly, and I was only in first, second grade when I did it, kindergarten, first, second grade, and I still remember it. And his name was Jay Walterstorff. He is now passed, but remember going to his office and loving it, and that was really huge for me. And junior high, for me, the outlet that I had was sports and choir. Those are my 2 big things, what I was passionate about. So extracurriculars, I personally believe, are huge, and I know funding is continually getting cut for a lot of stuff like that. So it's heartbreaking when we have a 2-year-old daughter that, you know, I want her to be able to have sports and be able to be in something like choir or band or orchestra, whatever it is that might interest her. So that was really huge for me, and that was definitely an outlet as I dealt with teenage angst and all the hormonal things as you go through growing up. And then I think that was the same for high school. I got even more into tennis, and having that funded as well as it was at Stillwater was really, really awesome. We had a huge team, and I was able to excel, and I was also in a competitive girls choir that we were able to travel, and that was super cool too. So that was a big thing. having teachers that supported and teachers that, did extracurriculars and coached sports as well as, taught you in the classroom. And that was also really huge to kind of have somebody on court and off court. My English teacher was also one of our tennis coaches. So in college for me, it was having safe spaces to go to feel mentored and to feel like I had, a special place to study. I think having nice facilities is really awesome too, just to kind of zone out and focus. And I really enjoy going to the library, and I kind of had my little places that I would always go. And that really helped me to just feel focused and safe and supported, to have the resources that I needed on campus. And I think that really helped me excel, to have the professors that were there to mentor me, that had open office hours. And that was a really big difference for me versus UMD, when it was a class of 300 versus River Falls it was 25 kids, and a lot of them are, I think my biggest class was like 100. So small class sizes for me was also really huge, and that helped to make me feel more supported and individualized, and kind of have my education tailored to what I needed. And I think that that's how every student was feeling at River Falls, and that's something I loved about that.
Thank you for sharing that. And Matthew.
Well, in not as many words, I guess I would just say knowing what kind of information is out there. Like, whether it's any sort of like counseling services, like, through an official school counselor, or like, I know as a student sometimes I felt more comfortable going and actually utilizing like office hours on campus, or like when I was in high school, it was like maybe I felt more comfortable going to one of my class teachers rather than like, I don't really feel like going to my guidance counselor's office. So I guess like for me, probably the biggest thing would be like, at the very least, having the information out there. Like, you just even as a teacher, someone I guess that isn't considered a mental health professional, if you will, like you could have way more of an impact than you realize on that one student. Like, you might just be there at that right time, like that they really need somebody. And just being there in that moment, or making it known, like, hey, my door's always open, like I don't have classes these periods, like if you need to pop in, come on in here or whatever. Like I guess like more specifically for high school, like I get that teachers are way overworked and way underpaid, and they have to use those hours that they don't have classes to maybe try and eat or grade papers or prepare for their next class period or something like that. But it's like, hey, if a student's in dire need and you can squeeze in 5 minutes for them, like that could mean the world to somebody who's just going through something right now that they don't know how to necessarily deal with.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing.
That was a cute moment.
Nay, what advice would you share with your teenage self?
So I think I got wrapped up a lot in a lot of the drama that there was, and I was just always trying to focus on school. And I was friends with a lot of girls that were really, really mean. And my mom always told me to just go to school, focus on your grades, and that's what I did. And I worked really hard at getting my 4.0, and but I think that was just something that was so hard as any kid. Kids can just be so mean. I feel like I had a lot of problems with just sorting between what mattered and what didn't when it came to school. And I think that's just really difficult, to just focus on your education, let all the other BS go away. Kids can just be dicks. They can just, I don't know if I can swear in this.
I don't know that that's a swear word. I mean, to some it might be, but I mean, it's better than some of the other things that we've been dropping earlier, and how we kind of we're a little bit more PG on this than we usually are.
But I'll move on. I should have just listened to my mom more, because she's like, it doesn't matter, it's all gonna be gone when you're older. Like, it's all, you're gonna get done with junior high, you're gonna move on to high school, you're gonna move on to college, and all the drama won't matter. But I think it was just so hard to not get so bogged down by it. So sometimes going to school is really, really tough. But fortunately, I had some awesome teachers. Mr. Mentz,
Yeah.
which is actually, we met, Matt and I, in 8th grade science class. We sat next to each other, and he always would stare at me. But yeah, I think just having teachers that were kind of there to help you sort through that, and Mr. Olson, and Mr. Hamilton, and Mr. Parker, just a lot of those teachers that kind of like gave no BS answers to a lot of the stuff, like just helped get on your level. And I think when that really helped to just be able to focus more on school, and just they could kind of see through a lot of that stuff and just really help you to feel good about your education and not worry about all the other stuff. So that's what I try to tell myself, and I know that our daughter's going to go through a lot of that same thing. I think every kid deals with that at some point, whether it's small amount or it runs their whole life. I mean, just growing up can be really, really hard. So,
Matt, what advice would you share with your teenage self?
Try to find a better balance between work and play. I started working at a very young age, and by the time I was in high school, I was actually working almost 40 hours a week, and I would like never really sleep, and I would go through these cycles where it would be like I would work my ass off to the point of burnout, and I wouldn't have any time with my friends. And then I was just like, to hell with this, like I'm not enjoying life at all. And then I would just kind of put whatever I could on the back burner so I could spend more time with my friends. And in high school, a lot of the time it became more so my studies. Like I just barely made it into college. It's not something I'm exactly proud of, but there even today still needs to be a better balance. Like I need to find time to be able to just relax and kick my feet up and, you know, do the things that I enjoy in life. And then there's also times where, hey, maybe I'm relaxing a little bit too much, and there's obligations and just part of being an adult and growing up that I'm like, okay, I'm probably not putting enough effort into this, and maybe need to tighten the belt up a little bit.
it's kind of funny because like you and I are so opposite in high school that I, junior high, I was always really focused on education and getting good grades and everything since I was young, and then really got much more hard on myself in high school to the point where, I mean, I would get so stressed out and pull all-nighters all the time just to get a perfect grade. And so I feel like, you know, I almost envy you in that way that you did live a little, and I hung out with friends all the time, but studies were so much more
I wouldn't
important. So
that I just lived a little. I probably lived a little too much.
But that's the kind of funny thing, I guess, is that point is like there is a balance, and like you and I were kind of on both ends of the spectrum, and what we're both making is the same point to kind of meet in the middle. But it's just funny that we're both on two different sides of it, but still making that same point.
For sure.
And it's hard to find this perfect balance, and I definitely like witnessed you like working so hard that you like did not get enough sleep, or you did not like eat as regularly as you could have because you were so dedicated to the work that you were doing, or whatever kind of hobby or task that was work for you. But then also like you really cared about the relationships that you did have. I guess from my perspective, I can acknowledge what you're saying to be true because I saw it, and then I can also acknowledge that like you cared so much about the people that were important in your life that that you like invested so much that I don't even like you had to say that for me to fully remember or like identify how hard you worked and how often you worked, because we hung out a lot.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess you know, to just circle back to your point, like you're right, there is no perfect work-life balance, if you will. Like you just have to find a balance that works for you, and you have to find a healthy balance. Like if you're just balls deep in work constantly and you're just letting the world pass you by, you know, that it's going to do just that, and you're going to miss out on so much of life. And but on the flip side of that, like, if you're just like, whatever, like,
I'll skate by.
I'll just make it happen when it happens, like, you're also going to miss out on other opportunities to maybe get yourself to a point where you want to be. Like, if you're not exactly happy with where you're at, maybe am I just kind of reeling on my heels a little bit too much and need to work a little bit harder? Like I said, you just need to find a balance that works for you. There is no right or wrong. It's just what works best for you.
Yeah.
I heard something on that recently, a woman that came to speak at work, and she said, I personally don't like the term work-life balance, because balance makes you feel like you're constantly teetering and that you have to keep yourself have an even weight, and that's always impossible. So she said, I go by work-life harmony, and I thought that was really beautiful, and that's resonated with me, and that's kind of what I try to live by, just because it's harmony. It's what makes sense to you, and balancing makes it feel like you just teeter on this fine line, and you slip too much and then you're falling, and then you go back this way, and you can never get quite right to have both sides even to be flat. So I feel like harmony just kind of makes it more all-encompassing, and just makes it feel like a general, like how things feel if you're a person that kind of vibes off of stuff and feels good, and your gut reactions to stuff. Just that's the kind of person I am. So I like that harmony. So
I like that too.
yeah. These days, everything is all about the balance, this walking this fine line and balancing everything. Everything's a balancing act, whether, you have pets or you have kids, and you work and you go to school, and maybe you're going to school and working, and you're always having to balance, and it's just this fine line you have to tread, and you're constantly feeling judged and constantly feeling like you have to do it a certain way. And as a mom, there's a lot of pressure societally, and not only a mom, but I'm a working mom, so then I put my kid in daycare, and so it's just this work-life balance. And to me, I always felt so stressed out when I heard that I have to have this balance. Well, it's no one can define that balance for you, which now I like to say is harmony, work-life harmony. And I don't remember the woman's name who said that, but she really just made sense of that it's up to you to define what your comfort level is. So if you're a person that puts 150% into work, and you don't have a lot of obligations at home, or you do, but you have that way that you can kind of juggle everything better, and you're the kind of person that works 40 hours and you're done and you shut off and you go home and you never turn your computer back on, whatever it means to you. But it's up to you, not your employer, not your spouse, not your mom, dad, friend, whatever, to define. It's a personal thing, and what harmony feels like to you. When you feel whole, you feel centered, you feel good about yourself. And like I said, I react very emotionally to situations. My gut reacts to things, and that fight or flight response. And so that I like things to be harmonious and feel just okay, this feels okay. And then I don't have that pressure of get that balance, because that's, like I said, that teetering, and it's just like constantly feeling like you're gonna fall one way or another, and then you fail. So living harmonious is more zen for me.
Well said.
Thank you.
All right, Nay and Matt, is there anything else that you would like to share with educators and or students, young people of all ages who may stumble upon this Educator Shout Out interview of yours?
I guess in summary, use the resources that are out there. Don't feel embarrassed if you do have to go to some sort of counseling type service. Like I said, when I was a younger kid and I used the guy, I was too young, I think, to feel embarrassed by my classmates at that point. I was excited to go when I was a little pipsqueak. Not that I'm that much taller now, but you can't tell while I'm sitting. But, guidance counselors, I never really used them, but I really utilized teachers that gave open door policies. Just if you're ever struggling with something, just talk to somebody, I guess, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's at school, whether it's, I don't know, wherever you might be, just talk to somebody. Share your feelings, even if it's maybe a cashier at Target that might not really give a shit less. It's important to talk. I mean, and I was a cashier at Target. Well, I was actually more on the sales floor, but I did backup cashier sometimes. I worked at Target through college, and sometimes people would unload their life on me, and that's just what people need sometimes. Like, just listen or talk, or, you know, just use the resources that are there. You know, those 800 numbers for everything, to just call somebody anonymously from your house or your car or whatever. Another thing is just be confident in yourself. I was just thinking about that the last couple days, just like how you all of a sudden reach, not everybody, but I think most people that I know these days at our age reach a point where they don't really care as much about how they look or what brands of clothes are or what kind of car they drive, or you know, you just kind of reach that point where it's just I'm good with who I am, and I encourage everybody to reach that point as soon as you can, because it's freeing, you know, just not having to get approval from people for things, and just making your own choices and feeling confident in yourself, because everybody is made unique for a reason, and, you know, just be you, and don't hold back, you know, follow those dreams too. Just, if you have an inkling to do it, just explore it, see if it's an option. I'm still doing that to this day. You know, what do I want to do with my life? What more do I want out of life? And continue to explore that and challenge yourself. You know?
Is the confidence a decision that you make and like something that changes right away, or has it been a process for you?
It's been a process for me with a lot of the stuff that I've dealt with in my life. And I think it's a lot about who I surrounded myself with. I think confidence was either brought out more, or, you know, more or less depending on who I was with and how I was treated and how I allowed myself to be treated, and, you know, and then in turn how I treated myself. So I think it's been a very learned process to have confidence. I think the point in my life that made me more confident when Matt and I got together, because you know, he'd known me for so long, and you know, things just started clicking around that age when I graduated college and I got my first, you know, job out of college, and I just had really good relationships with a lot of my friends, and then we got married, and that's when things just kind of started falling into place, and I was making good choices in my life, and started feeling more confident with myself. And then even more so now that I'm a mom, and I don't necessarily feel like I put pressure on myself, but I hold myself to a higher standard because she is watching every single thing that I do. And I want to be that good example, and I want to raise a good person. And so I want to exude confidence so she feels confident growing up. And I don't want to make negative comments about my body, because she'll pick that up. She mimics everything. She's 2 and she copies literally everything, even when we think she's not listening. So that's been a huge growth thing for me as well, is just now that I have somebody watching my every move, I think that, you know, who do I want her to see as her mom? I want to be a strong figure for her. So I think that's really helped with my confidence.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt, is there anything else that you would like to share with the class?
No. Nothing besides smart-ass remarks that aren't necessarily...
Well, especially given how I framed that question for you.
Yeah, too open-ended for
All right,
him.
Matt,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything else that you would like to share? Any advice, any insights, lessons learned that you have not already touched on?
Don't do crack.
Is there anything else besides that? I mean, that's a big one.
Maybe that sums it up enough.
Yeah.
Nope.
I mean-
Nope, I think
That's all she wrote?
that's all she wrote.
What would you tell our daughter?
Oh, good reframe there, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
Good reframe.
What's some advice you would tell her if she was struggling in school with friends or education?
or maybe even not struggling, but like, what would you tell her on her first day of
Yeah, there you go.
school?
First day kindergarten, what
First
would
day
you tell her?
kindergarten. Keep it PG.
That's actually a good question. I'm not even sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's totally fine.
I would say
Yeah.
just go have fun.
yeah.
And be about it.
I think that's about what you'd say.
Go have
Go
fun.
fun. I can't wait to hear about it when you get home.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd say that.
Mhm.
And if she was scared, my new thing that I've started saying, and I didn't like really even
You'll get over
know
it.
that that it started, but now I find myself saying it all the time, is be brave and strong. Be brave and strong. Because she started this thing where she's scared of so many things that are like new, and it was like a weekend where she was scared of everything, and now she doesn't really do it anymore. And I was just like, Mama's here to protect you. You know, Mommy and Daddy will always protect you. Just let's be brave and strong. And then she's like, Mama, keep you safe. Mama, keep you safe. And she kept repeating it as we were going to go to the dark shed at my parents' house, because she was curious to go in there. She was scared, but she wanted to see in there. And so the whole time she was repeating it like it was her mantra. Mama, keep you safe. Mama, keep you safe.
Wow.
Brave and strong. So
That's incredible. And
it
she's,
just stuck with her.
like she said, she just turned 2.
Mhm.
Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
that She said that.
So I feel like that's kind of now my thing for her. So I feel like that's probably what I would tell her on her first day. Brave and strong.
Yeah.
Nothing to be scared of. Brave and strong.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be scared, but you'll be good.
I love you,
I love you.
and I love you.
Oh, you do, yeah.
Oh, I do so much. Years of beautiful friendships and being alongside as we navigate through this life in classes or in sports or just in life in general. You two have been amazing supports for me, and I love you dearly, and so many more years to come. And thank you so much for being part of the Educator Chipotle Challenge by doing an Educator Shout Out Interview
Oh, for sure.
and speaking from the heart, and
It's an honor.
for being good humans.
Love you, Kay.
Love you too. All right.
That's a wrap? Question
Kayla
mark?
Ebby, over and out.
That.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it real, folks. Just recorded an Educator Shout Out interview, or 2 rather, with my good friends Matt and Renee. It was a pleasure.
As soon as you actually hit record for the interview, I just sit there, just mouth agape, blinking at the camera, not knowing what to do. Just complete deer in the headlights.
No issues.